116 Hotline.
It's Sadie.
It's Valerie.
And this is Dana.
And welcome
back
to
our
podcast
channel.
channel.
Hey guys, so this is episode 2
with the video.
Episode 2 with the video.
Yes.
The first one, previous episode, cut off at like 30 minutes. So we're very sorry about that, but
we're still working through the video part.
Yes.
We just got the audio part fixed.
Yes.
And now we're working on the video part, so thank you for being patient.
Thank you.
But
We
if
appreciate
you are
you.
here, then I believe you already listened to the actual audio of the last episode. So thanks for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we will put whatever we have up on our YouTube if you haven't already seen that. Trigger warning.
Trigger warning. We're going to dive into a topic that may be sensitive for some people.
Example.
Mental health,
Suicide.
domestic abuse, domestic violence, murder, suicide. Just because I feel like it's, especially in the Hmong community, it's such a
Touchy.
a touchy thing, but like it's a thing that happens often.
More than ever now.
And I feel like there's not really a lot of light shed around that topic.
Absolutely.
Or around that whole the stigma of all of that.
Yes.
Because I feel like I've seen on social media quite a few like murder suicides between older Hmong couples. Not even older. I feel like mid 30s.
I would say it ranges vastly. It's not a specific.
Yeah. Just Hmong married
group.
Couples. And I think it's so sad because I feel like, me personally, I feel like that could be prevented. Mm-hmm. And not only are you harming all of the families that are affected, but you're harming the kids because now the kids are left without a mom and a dad.
But I think it's not only couples, it's also people in general, like just
people
regular,
in general,
like, you know, young adults like me and you, or it could be older adults, and, you know, even honestly, even sadly, some younger kids, and I feel like that the base of all of that, I feel like there's such a stigma around mental health in the Hmong community.
It doesn't exist. Mental health is not real.
Yes, like, oh, you're just thinking too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's something that's not talked about clearly. And I feel like in this generation, there is a lot more talk, but not enough.
And I just want to emphasize that when we're talking about these things, we're emphasizing in the Hmong community because we're Hmong, and because it's not talked about enough in our community.
We can only speak about our experiences within our community.
Yes, because we're not saying that like the other communities don't have it too. They definitely do, but I think for us there's different barriers, and there's different traditional norms in our community versus in like the Latino community, or you know, the African American community. Everybody has their own different biases and norms, versus for the Hmong community, I feel like Tana said, that's only where we can really touch onto that, because so in my opinion, anytime I see a murder suicide that's like blasted on Facebook or something, it really breaks my heart, because like I said, not only are you taking away a loved one from both families, but you're leaving those children without parents, and then they have to grow up the rest of their life like knowing that happened, and they're gonna have to live with that guilt. Like, people are always gonna remind them, like, you know, that your parents were the one who killed themselves.
And honestly, that is how some Hmong people are. I'm not pointing fingers, but if you guys know, then you guys know. There are those uncles and aunties and relatives that
are rude,
point out those negative stuff that are like, you are the kids, like you're the orphans, you're the
which is so sad, because you feel like as a kid, I can't even imagine, because as a kid, like, that's your only family that you have left, you know, is like your uncles, your aunties, your cousins, but as you guys all may know, the aunties and uncles are always the one that's talking the most shit and running their mouth.
Yes.
And
For some reason, that's so normalized.
It is normalized.
I don't know about the other like ethnicities, like you said, but I feel like in the Hmong community, it's
always the aunties and uncles.
Because even I can draw this back all the way back in Thailand of stories from my own grandparents saying that, you know, they were considered orphans, even though they were living with their blood aunties and relatives. They were considered orphans,
like outsiders.
Outsiders.
Yeah, because of stuff like that.
And that's so sad because it's like, as a kid, you feel like, oh, that's your family. Like, you know no better.
Yes.
You do not know better. And so you're just like, oh, that's my uncle and that's my auntie. But really, your uncle's auntie's like, look at those, like, outsiders.
Yes.
And it's so sad because it's like, you should be the one. You're the adult. You should be the one there for them. But kind of touching back to how I feel like murder suicides should be prevented, kind of goes back into how in Hmong marriages, as the saying goes, as many of you know, they always say what?
Yes. So in translation, that means be patient.
Be patient. Pretty much be patient and keep enduring it, or like, just suck it up.
But that's not just for women. I mean, that's for men and women.
Yeah. I think domestic violence goes both ways.
Yes,
both ways. Men and women. You know, women and women, men and men. I mean, whatever you want to. Yeah. You know, all types. But I think that is such a bad saying, the Oshande, that really needs to be canceled out.
It needs. I mean, it needs to be thrown out. Our generation, we're more aware, but it still has not gone away because there's still influences from our parents, from their parents.
Yes,
it's still there, but I mean, it's not talked about enough.
And that doesn't only go for like marriages. That goes for like if you're having issues and you're bringing up your issue to your you're bringing up an issue to your mom or dad, and they'll say that to you. They'll say like, "Oshande, you know, like
everything will work out.
Everything will be fine. Everything will work
you're
out."
You're thinking too much.
Yes.
Especially heavy on the you're just thinking too much.
Yes.
Then what is that? That is my mental health. Okay, like that's obviously a cry for help that I need. You know, and here's the thing about, you know, when people in our community commit suicide, I don't like that stigma, like, oh, you know, like, you know, they just weren't happy, blah, blah. Yeah, obviously, you idiot. Obviously, they needed some help, you know, and there's that stigma again about not reaching out and getting help, getting the professional help, whether that be a community that you have, like a friendship, you know, with people that you can lean on like we do. But then even like Valerie said, everyone, like she said in the last episode, everybody needs to see a therapist. Whether you want to believe it or not, go see a counselor, go see a therapist, because you know,
because life is hard.
It is so hard, and it's like
hard when you have to, if you're like, just like you said, living alone, you bottle,
especially if you're alone. Life is hard.
That's where it all starts. You start bottling all of your issues and your problems, and it can be something so little. But eventually, when you bottle,
it manifests.
It's gonna bottle up, and it's gonna break. The glass bottle is gonna break.
And there's just this stigma, like, you know, you're just thinking too much, like, don't worry, like, you know, you don't need to go tell outsiders the problems that we're having. Like, I don't give a F. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, with our past, like, we've been through traumatic shit. Like, you know, I'd rather talk to someone and get some mental health help rather than suffering on my own. And I know that there are others out there that is part of the struggle, is being able to say, hey, I need help, and finding the one person that will help you make contact with somebody that can help. You know, and that's why we said in the last episode, it's so important to reach out to say, hey, how are you really? How are you doing? Like, you don't have to tell me the details, but how are you?
Literally just a simple, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And just encouraging them to be completely honest, like, you know, just to be vulnerable, like you said, it goes a long way.
I mean, they don't have to tell you the nitty gritty, but I feel like even just putting yourself out there as a person that is able to open up that door, maybe you can truly help somebody. And I feel like in the Hmong community, it's so something that we don't talk about. And I just hate that, because we see it, like Val said, more often than we don't about these suicides and murder suicides. That is just truly breaks my heart every time I see it. And I hate that it's the new norm.
And it is, and like Valerie said, unfortunately, more so we do see it in like marriage couples. We do see that a lot more,
like age doesn't matter.
Marriage like, does not matter than we do like in individuals, you know. But I mean, it still goes, you know, full circle of
and I feel like it's a lot of younger kids now too, that like,
I hate,
you know, that take their own life, you know, not just younger kids, like people our age, you know. And I think that's so sad, because to put yourself in that position to where it's like you really feel like that's the only way out,
you can be free.
I think when you put yourself in that perspective, when you put yourself in that person's shoes and thinking like, well, that's the only way that, you know, I'm ever going to be happy is to end my own life. I think when you really put yourself in that perspective, it opens your eyes a lot into thinking like, what could I have done to help? Because, you know, most times when people are depressed or going through some type of mental illness, like there is a sign, you know.
There's at least signs.
I mean, it's very easy to hide that you're going through stuff because it's very easy to put up a front. But I would say like most times there's at least 1 or 2 times that you think to yourself like, that's not right, or something's off.
Like something's off.
You know, and like you just need to trust your gut feeling and like just reach out, because when you have that little gut feeling and you think to yourself, like somebody else will do it, like, no, why don't you be the person to do it and reach out? Because it's gonna fall back on you. You're gonna feel guilty.
There's this thing, I don't know what it's called, but it's called I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically where it's like if somebody's car is dead on the side of the road and there's a lot of passerbyers, right? They're automatically gonna assume, someone else is gonna do it. Somebody has probably called. And I feel like this is the same thing. Like when you see someone on social media posting stuff that's very depressing or very alarming, and you're like, hey, that sounds suicidal. Like that sounds like a cry for help, something like that. Please reach out. I do this all the time. Like it's never gonna be a bad thing, okay? You rather reach out to be safe than sorry, because you never ever know what someone else is going through. And I don't want this to be the new norm in the Hmong community where it's like, we just let that pass and just be like, hope you're doing better. Reach out to them, and like
not just reach out, follow up.
Yes,
very important.
That is so important, because you guys, your own mind can be so harmful to yourself if you are not, getting that professional help, or even having a good support system that can help you release all that stuff that you're trying to bottle up inside, and I just hate that. I just wish that we could change that for our community about having the resources as well to open up about mental health illnesses.
I feel like it's like I said, life is hard already, and I feel like it's hard to find your own coping mechanisms and your own personal ways to deal with the bullshit that you're dealing with, because everyone deals through bullshit.
They have their own,
and it's just like Sitiana said, like in our old episode, your mind is such a powerful thing, and it could be a negative thing too, and so you have to have like a good support system, and you have to have your own ways of figuring out how to deal with the bullshit, because if you don't know how to, or like you were never taught to, or you really don't know like
how to,
you can do so much more bad to yourself and go down a bad spiral, and it's hard to come back up from that. And me personally, like if there was this quote that I saw that was like, I would rather listen to your feelings and hear about your feelings than listen to your eulogy at your funeral.
Yes, I agree.
Which hits so deep, because
it does hit deep.
And me personally, I've never really necessarily gone through depression like that, but I've had moments where, like you said, if you think about something bad and my mind crazily, like it has a mind of its own, because it's the mind, it'll literally
wander off
into something even deeper and deeper. And I'm like, oh crap. And I thankfully I know how to stop myself from that, but some people, they can't, and that's what leads to, unfortunately, suicide. And like you said, like we have the resource, we have to push that out, and we have to just community. Be an advocate for our community, especially.
I think too that in murder suicides, I was reading somewhere, there was a lady that wrote a good online blog about the murder suicide that happened in Minnesota.
Yes, I read that blog.
I read that blog. We should link that blog,
because that younger lady in his.
Yes,
her kids.
She was like she wasn't Hmong, but she was like half Hmong or something like that.
With the kids,
she was. I don't want to say her name specifically, but I remember her name. But she was basically an individual that was adopted into a Hmong family, and then
I remember it. Yeah.
She had small children and a husband, and I don't know the details of that, but nevertheless it ended up in a murder suicide. And to me, it just circles back to the resources. Was she supported? Number one. Number two, if she was supported, was the issues talked about? And number three, I think it's important to bring up the fact that how we talk about people after they have gone through this, okay, and they are no longer in this world, I really disrespect that about the Hmong community. I hate that because before, when it can be preventable, there is so many
opinions
and talkings voices. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Are you guys really helping the problem, or are you guys just causing more fuss?
Making
because
worse.
in the end, in this lady's particular case, I hated the way that there was, you know, the issues surrounding after this situation happened. It really pissed me off, okay? Because that just, to me, those are the parts that make me hate being Hmong, okay? It's because we have such a nuance about the way we carry ourselves after tragic things like this happen, when we could have prevented it from the beginning. And I don't care what you say, because there, like I said, there are signs. Are you or are you not giving them the resources to help them out of there? Are you being an open ear? Are you lending a hand? Are you being part of are you being part of the way to solve this problem? Or are you just trying to push it to the edge, sweep it under the rug, you know, you know, just it'll pass, it's just all in your mind? No. And then when the bad things happen, then we just pretend that nobody ever heard about anything before that.
Knew about all the problems.
I feel like that's just like, everybody wants to have an opinion until something happens.
They don't want to be responsible after that, and they're like, oh, I don't know.
And then they change. There's
switch no fucking excuse.
Then they switch up, and then they say something else, or they like have a different perspective on things. But
and excuses. Well, because
that's what it is. Excuses.
Why are there even excuses, especially the fact after it has happened?
Because that's so normalized in our community now. So normalized in our community, where it's like, you know, oh, it's just another couple. It's not. At the end of the day, you guys, I am tired of seeing this in the Hmong community, and I'm so passionate about this, because this shit right here needs to stop.
No, I feel like it kind of goes back to I don't know why, but like there's this saying, not saying, but there's like this thing where it's like, you know how like when guys and girls, they're in a relationship and then they break up, and then the guy's like, oh, I don't know what to do without you, I'm gonna fucking kill myself, like I need you in my life.
That needs to stop.
That needs to stop. I feel like that's where it starts, because
it manifests into
that's
so
really where
toxic,
it starts.
You know,
like why is that your only outlet? If someone doesn't want to be with you, that you're gonna kill yourself. Like why would you hold that guilt over somebody else?
Like you need to get with a therapist, unpack those feelings.
That's why I said everyone should see a therapist.
As you mentioned,
like unpack those feelings with someone. Like dive in deeper. Why am I feeling like that? Even though guys, girls, whatever, even though you may think it sounds stupid, you need to question yourselves. Okay, we are a new generation of Hmong young adults. Okay, we need to understand that there are resources out there that will help us deal with our feelings
too.
Yes, free resources. Honestly, please reach out if you are feeling suicidal. If you know anyone,
if you're feeling
that is
like
feeling suicidal, there is a 24/7 free crisis hotline.
Call
988 if you or somebody you know is going through suicidal thoughts, or if you think that they're, you know, you just have an inkling, just call that number. Okay, it's totally anonymous. It's a statewide number. Every state can call it. 988. If you feel alone, if you feel like you're going through some things that is tough in the moment, and you feel like that is the only way out, please reach out to 988. They have someone there 24/7. Like I said, it's anonymous, and that's the best part. No one has to know. They don't have to know your personal stuff, but it's somebody that you can talk to if you feel like you're truly alone, if you feel like you don't have anyone else that you can talk to in your life,
or you don't know how to open up to someone around
even
you.
if you don't know how to,
if you're having thoughts about it, if you're having thoughts of self-harm, or if you're having thoughts of harming others, you know, or if you're starting to have any of those negative thoughts, stop it now before it's preventable goes any further, because you can prevent a lot of things, and you can get the free help that you need. It's free to call that number, 988.
988. That's the oldest. Yep.
And in your mind, like, you probably if you see these problems around people that, you know, you could tell that they're not doing well, and you could tell that they're not who they used to be, I think is a really big sign. You know, be that open ear for them, because you never know, they probably really, really do need it.
So that was a pretty heavy dive into what we were talking about,
but it was needed.
It was needed. Yes, it's needed to be raw and real, because shit like that needs to be talked about. And I know some people feel like kind of like iffy and nasty talking about that, because they don't want to.
They don't want to talk about it.
But it's not talked about.
But you guys, it's real.
It's real. It happens.
As real as it gets.
That just brings me back to like postpartum depression. Like after I had my 2 kids, I went through that, and you guys, postpartum, they say postpartum depression can, you know, last up to 2 years. Like even more after you have your kids. It's not just that time frame whenever you have your kids. It's like even after that. And you know, I feel like in our community specifically, like we said earlier, we can only speak about our community and our experiences. Our experiences. I have gone through postpartum depression, and I'm not gonna lie, suicidal thoughts were there, but I used my resources because I know they were there. I had a support system. You guys, if you know someone that is, you know, has had a baby, please reach out to them, because in that moment they may not understand or have the knowledge, right, that they're going through it themselves, but we need to at least try to spread the awareness and educate people, because, you know, they may get dismissed. Honestly, most times than none, a lot of people that go through postpartum depression, they get dismissed by their doctors, by their significant others, you know, like anybody around them.
And well, I think it's because like people, they not romanticize, but they like glorify and they beautify like pregnancy and giving birth and having a baby, and it's like they talk about all the good things, but like they don't really necessarily tell you that like about the bad things that are associated, like the realistic things, like
the raw,
your freaking vagina raw and bleeding and sore for days, or if you have a C-section, like you're literally cut open. And they don't talk about that. You just think about, oh, the cute little baby posting on social media like the baby, but it's like
sometimes it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Okay, and I feel like postpartum depression, it leads back to the suicide thing. Like a lot of people that don't have that awareness in general, they think that, hey, I'm just feeling, they call it like blue syndrome, baby blues, like feeling down. And I think it's so important as well for significant others to have that awareness, like that their partner is going through those feelings, because they need to understand that, hey, if I cannot help her or him, you know, whoever's going through it, then I need to be able to get the resources out there for them to reach out to a professional. You know, because if I can't talk them into, you know, feeling better or whatever, I need to be able to find someone who can.
This
you know,
is literally a life we're talking about, like a person's life.
Yes.
You know,
and I feel like, because for me with Levi, I don't think I really necessarily went through that. But with Atticus, I definitely did. Postpartum depression, I disassociated a lot. I really don't remember my life after Atticus was born up until probably for like a whole year.
And is it, I mean, because, you know, I've never been through it, obviously. Is it more of just kind of like it just comes naturally, hits you out of nowhere type of situation?
Yeah, it can slowly creep up on you.
Okay. It just, everybody's different.
Everybody's different, But for me, I feel like with Atticus, I disassociated a lot, and I was just on like an autopilot mode. That's what I felt like. I was just on autopilot, and next thing you know, he was already 1, and I was just like, I really don't remember the first full year after he was born. And I feel like the disassociating, that kind of ties in with the postpartum depression, because that, for me, that's how I dealt with the postpartum depression, is I disassociated and I didn't remember a lot of things that happened a year after he was born. But I know everyone's different.
Right.
Like, I don't know how it was for Sutiana. If you like just disassociated, or if you were just depressed.
I was just depressed. I would say I had high functioning depression, because I would do like the normal day-to-day stuff, but then I would feel really, really sad all the time.
Really?
Like super sad. Like
after Ollie or
after both of them. Because I know myself, like even before I had kids, I know that I have that high functioning depression. And I've had suicidal thoughts before, so I know that myself, like even before I had kids, like my mental health is not 100, but I know that there are resources out there to help me. But after I had my kids, I think it kicked into gear like 10 times worse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I was just sad all the time and depressed, and like, you know, the suicidal thoughts, they don't go away. And if you are in a deep hole, like, I understand how you're feeling, because I know, Sadie, you say you don't know how that is, but it's literally, it feels like you're in a hole that you cannot get out of. You're in a hole that is so deep that man, all you think about, doesn't matter what's going on in your life in the outside, at the end of the day, when you come home to your bed and you're just by yourself, you feel like shit. You feel so disgusting. You feel so dead inside that it's just like you cannot dig yourself out, and you just are so upset about it. Like, that's how I can describe it, as a big deep hole. And I'm like, you know, I'm so glad that I had a support system, but a lot of people don't have that.
They don't have. Oh my gosh,
they don't. You know,
and I feel like not just having the support system, but having the talks about it, like normalizing it.
Yes.
Because for me personally, I'm not gonna lie, like, I used to think like asking for help or stuff like that would be embarrassing,
like a sign of weakness,
a sign of weakness, and it'd be embarrassing to be like, I think I'm depressed, or like I'm going through shit and I don't know how to deal with it. Like,
yes, that's
I thought it was embarrassing, and like I didn't want to admit that I had depression because I didn't want to seem like weak or stupid, you know,
up here
like, oh, she can't do it,
like she can't handle life, like wow, she's so weak, you know. But I only up until I was like in my early 20s, then I finally like advocated for myself and kind of got real and raw with my own thoughts and emotions and accepted it. But not only that, but it's because I was older and then I knew more about it. That's why I think it's so important to talk about it now and educate, so that way you don't have to find out whenever you're like 23 later.
And that's the sad thing, is that sometimes by the time they want to find out, it's already too late. It should be talked about earlier and not until you're like freaking a young adult, like trying to figure out life, because your early 20s is such a raw time for you to be going through shit, and then add mental health on top of that and not knowing how to manage that. It's just like a signs of disaster. Like you're waiting for shit to hit the fan, you know? Right. So I think personally, I feel like it should be talked about in schools. I don't think early age, probably not like elementary,
high school at least.
I would say like middle school.
I want to say like ending of middle, starting of freshman year,
middle to freshman year. Yeah,
definitely for sure.
Because I feel like fifth grade, fourth grades, you're still kind of kiddish. Mental thinking about, but like once you get to like the middle school, then that's where there's more stigmas, there's more social norms, there's more bullying, there's a lot more negative things, and the world just gets harder and meaner and harsh. And so I feel like I wish they would talk about it in school, or just kind of like shed a little bit of light on that, right? Because not only that, but like whenever there is like someone who's taken their life away, and then like, you know, when that happens, then the next thing you know, the next day the school is all about suicide awareness, and then blah blah blah.
Yeah, why do we have to wait until
until it happens?
Then we, you know,
because that's what it's always like you don't really talk about it until it happens. Then they're like, oh, we have counselors available for you for the whole week.
There needs to be a suicide awareness.
It should be like that every day.
Every day you should have the resources, and every day you should be talking about prevention and stuff like that. Not until it actually happens, then you're like, oh, let's have more counselors on call. I feel like it should be something in high school, especially in high school, preteens. I feel like it should be as popular as sports.
Exactly.
You know, mental health check or mental health classes. You know, like honestly,
just educating
awareness.
Different forms of like therapy that you can do in class.
Exactly.
Like you know how you have your alternatives. Like for arts, you can do like different things. You know.
But then you guys, it's like in our community, how would that work?
Oh, in the mall?
Like honestly, I'm just thinking, because as you guys are talking now, I'm thinking in my head, okay, but for the people that are coming from overseas, right, they don't have the access to that. So when they come here and these women, they marry men, or these men marry women over here, how... It's like, that's the question. How do you get them that education, that awareness?
Well, Okay.
And also on top of that, how do the families that are around them? There has to be someone that has been here, right, in the U.S. So it's like, how do you get those people to educate and bring awareness to, hey, these are situations that are happening, and sometimes when you do have these feelings, they are real. Like, how are we supposed to introduce that into our community and educate? That is such a need,
and it is. And I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking crazy right now, but I feel like because we are such strong advocates for this, we can reach out. I know a lot of like Minnesota, California areas where there's a lot more Hmong population. There are a few, like I know of some people that they have a foundation for these type of you know, like movement, or like you said, like websites and just resource. If anything, we can probably reach out and collaborate and maybe start one. I see us going that far.
Yeah,
I think for me personally, so I feel like because the Hmong community is like so small but yet so big,
yes,
I feel like the people that have the platforms, they need to use,
that's what it is.
They need to use their platforms, because like the Hmong artists, yes, it seems so small, but that's how Hmong people are connected.
Like
the Hmong artists, they can reach so many people. They can reach the people overseas. They can reach the grandma that listens to Hmong music. You know, they can reach the young kid. So I think as a Hmong artist or a Hmong influencer, lifestyler, you know, internet icon, content creator, I feel like it is so important for you to use your platform to spread awareness.
Yes,
because if you're only using your platform for you personally, your own good, like you're not gonna go to sleep at the end of the day knowing you did something worthwhile. Like, I know that you wanted to be a big icon in the community for a reason, so use that to spread positivity
and awareness.
I feel like that definitely is going to be one of the biggest ways for it to be spread in the Hmong community, because
that's true. I didn't even think of it like that.
If you think about it, everybody knows who Channing is.
Yeah,
shout out to Channing. Well, everybody knows who Channing is.
I didn't know before, but now I do.
But you're not like someone who hangs out with a lot of Hmong people.
That's true.
So everybody knows who Kalia Universe is, and you know, all of that,
and the things that she's been through, and
exactly.
And I think that, you know, like Sadie said, maybe other states where there is a lot more Hmong population, like California, Minnesota, maybe in Wisconsin, maybe they do have those resources. And we just don't know about it. But I'm talking about specifically here in Oklahoma. I know for sure that we do not have a Hmong resource that caters to specifically mental health. And if there are other resources in other states, I would love to reach out and collaborate so we can start something like that, because I feel like we are a movement that, you know, mental health, we talk about mental health and suicide and all this, because you guys, this is real life stuff that happens. It's not just something that you talk about.
And it has gotten progressively worse throughout the years.
More normalized.
Unfortunately. And it's just, it's not going to stop, you know? Like, if we don't do something about it.
Education, awareness.
Exactly.
Repeat.
We have to be
education,
the change.
Awareness, repeat, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So until we all, especially as a community, come together and actually make a change, it's going to continue. The numbers are going to go up.
And I feel like, too, another thing with the Hmong community with that is ego.
Oh,
ego.
Yes. Every time, number one thing.
Yeah, every time I think about Hmong community, I think about the word ego. Yeah. Every time I think about Hmong community, ego and pride.
As sad as it is, I mean, that's what it is. Honestly, I do think of that too. It is.
Yeah, that's why I always think about that ego and pride every time I think about the Hmong community.
It's so sad. I mean, not to talk down on our own kind, but I mean, it's the truth. You know, like, come on. A lot of people, like, whenever they argue online, they're always saying that, Hmong Chilum, blah, 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 like you said in the past few episodes, and that's why we don't have a country, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, that might be true.
Because it is true.
That is true. We cannot come to,
and this is why Hmong people as a community, like, I know that there are those of us that have platforms that use it, and that is amazing.
Yes.
Don't stop doing that.
Keep doing that.
You know, don't stop doing that. But there are those that is just, like, stagnant. You know, they don't want to see it change. They don't want it to be, like, you know, a quote unquote, like, Americanized. or you know, more modernized. You guys, we live in the USA, okay?
Right.
There are things that they have here that are resources for a reason, okay? If you have the old mentality, old mindset, you guys, we can never change as a community to be for the better.
Evolve. We can't continue to make products of our old environment.
Yes.
We cannot do that anymore. It's not.
And I don't know about you guys, but I am tired of seeing these stories of people when it's like it could have been prevented. The signs were there. You know, they have the knowledge? Like, that's my thing. Like, were they educated about this?
Right.
And it's just like, we need to be there for each other, for each other, and that needs to be more spread throughout. Like, that needs to be the new norm.
Yes, exactly. It needs to be more talked about. It needs to be normalized. It needs to be, we need to be comfortable to talk about these things.
Instead of like, like
just like you said, just sweeping it under the rug. Like, whatever, they'll pass this, you know? Because they're not. And we have seen that, like you said, statistically. You know, we have seen that that's not how it works.
It's getting worse.
It really has gotten worse. And like you said, especially in the younger age, you know?
Yes.
That's the saddest part too.
I feel like the younger kids now, it is more talked about, but I feel like in our age group, it's kind of lacking, and the ones a little bit older than us, it's kind of lacking. But still, it's,
like I said, the awareness is there.
The awareness is there,
but the implementation, like, are we implementing these resources? Are we still spreading awareness? Are we still educating? They can, like, yes, it's more talked about, but it's like, do they really though?
Right,
you know what I mean? Like,
do you follow up?
Do you really follow up? Are you really taking actions?
Yes.
You can be talking about it, but you really have to, you know, live up to your words and actually take actions.
And I just want to say, like, for, you know, we're not trying to say specifically on you know, any specific cases that has happened, but it's just the fact that I think we are so passionate about, you know, changing the Hmong community in a positive way,
in a positive way,
and we're really advocates of mental health, and I just feel like that is something that we're missing in the Hmong community. And like I said, if there are other, you know, organizations in different states that have that bridge to that gap, please reach out.
We will love to collaborate and just to bounce off ideas to even start here,
because we need it here.
We like to start a movement. Like, I would love to do that.
Honestly, I think sometimes it's gonna have to get to that point in order to make it, like, you know, so to spread it out even more throughout all of the other states too. Honestly, not just
Oklahoma, you know, don't let the stigma of mental health scare you and whatever people can say, whatever, because, you know, at the end of the day, checking up on someone and making sure that they're okay is never going to be something that you should be embarrassed about.
And it costs $0 to do it.
Yes,
it costs $0 to check up on someone and follow up on someone.
5 seconds to just literally say, hey, how are you doing? How are you really feeling?
Literally 5 seconds to save a life. Like, literally to save, like, not, don't even think about checking up. It's to save a life, because that's really what it could be. Like,
oh my God,
to save a life. 5 seconds of your time to save a life.
To literally save a life. Just literally.
So my one task for the listeners, my one task for you today is reach out to someone you know, or someone that you see on Facebook or on any type of social media, and reach out to them, DM them, ask them how they're doing, and then if they answer you, say, how are you really doing? And then follow up with them, because maybe that's what they needed to hear today. So that is my one task for you. Do that today.
For me, my one task and one takeaway from this is to be kind to everyone you interact with, because you never know what they're going through.
Yes.
Behind closed doors, behind that smile that you see, you never know the internal battles.
Yes.
Or the actual physical battles that they're going through
on a day-to-day
basis. So just continue to be kind, because you never know. And, you know, when you're having a bad day, you would want someone to be kind to you too. So that would be my one thing, is just to continue to be kind.
I just realized, look at my shirt. It says, be a buddy, not a bully. I actually got this shirt from one of my students' mom, because she was selling this, and I'm like, it's like you said, spread positivity,
awareness,
kindness. And my one thing, I'm sorry, were you done? I was too excited because I was like, oh my gosh, my shirt. But no, mine is to ask yourself, are you really okay? And if you're not, then reach out to someone.
Call,
and like you said, 988
if you or someone you know is feeling suicidal.
And there you have it, please.
I think kind of just bouncing off what Sadie said for a second, it's okay to feel, it's okay to not be okay. If you're asking yourself that and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not okay, like, it's okay to not be okay,
and it's okay to reach out for help.
Okay, don't look at it as a sign of weakness.
And even if you don't know us like that, reach out to us. We'll be here. We'll be an open ear.
And like you said, reach out to me daily, okay, that just know me through social media
so much.
And that is important. We need to be there for one another. It doesn't have to be even specifically Hmong, but just anyone in general. We're just speaking specifically like on our community, like the things we can help to make it better. And if you have thoughts about that too, let us know, because I think that going forward, I really see us as advocates for so many things, and I truly think that we are gonna have to start a movement here because we don't have the resources here in our state.
So
and just remember, 5 seconds to save a life. You cannot
yes.
And like Satiana said, not just specifically the Hmong community, like anyone in general. We just, like you said, we just wanted to push that in there because
it's happening.
We see
in
that
our community,
in our experience.
But please spread awareness anywhere, everywhere you go.
And
kindness.
Yes.
Period.
As always, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I know this was a really heavy episode.
Yes,
but it was. I'm not even going to say sorry because it needs to be talked about.
I'm not even going to say sorry. Is needed.
If you feel uncomfortable, you feel icky, you probably know someone already that is going through that. So please reach out to them. But thank you so much for listening. And as always, we upload new episodes every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you can find us at 116th Hotline on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, and we will be uploading this video to our YouTube channel. And stay tuned next week for a new episode. Thank you guys.
Bye.